In November 2023, Broadcom closed the acquisition of VMware, and Broadcom has not messed around. They made changes quickly to the entire, I want to say, ecosystem that is VMware today. And this could have a significant impact on your career, especially if you are already working as a subject matter expert with VMware technologies, but also if you are a system administrator that potentially wants to specialize in VMware and their technology. So there could be a dramatic impact to your career. And in today's video, we're just going to review parts of the acquisition, talk about the changes that are happening, and then really think about, okay, what is the impact to VMware customers, to VMware partners, and potentially to you as a systems administrator or systems engineer working with VMware technologies. So let's get started. So I mentioned before the acquisition was closed in November 2023. And yeah, Broadcom really had a plan mapped out because they went to town right away. What is happening in the VMware ecosystem today? So for one, Broadcom is changing the entire business model for almost every VMware product. Everything is moving to a subscription-based product. At the same time, Broadcom has changed the pricing, and yeah, prices from what people are reporting have sometimes increased several 100% for a renewal of existing technology and licensing. That is a dramatic business impact to those companies that are now impacted or affected by these price increases. Broadcom VMware is also not necessarily too keen to continue working with all their partners. Especially smaller partners seem to be on the downside and are being ignored or being kicked out of the ecosystem, which could threaten their livelihood and the jobs that are associated with it. Larger VMware partners don't have certainty either at this point because Broadcom is making changes and then announced that certain things will be announced at a later time. So changes that are currently happening in that ecosystem, well, not everyone is sure that it's happening in a good way for them. And from what I'm hearing online and talking to people, most people are pretty upset. But yeah, even if Broadcom/VMware thinking about, okay, some customers may be leaving, well, the change to the entire pricing system and moving to a subscription model and with increased prices, if they lose a certain percentage of their customers, it's probably not impacting them, and they still get away with much more revenue and much more profit. So that is to be determined, but this is really what's happening. So lots of changes, lots of uncertainty, and a lot of companies that are being hit with those prices have to ask themselves, is VMware the technology? Are these the partners that we want to work with? Or are we moving our workloads somewhere else? And moving out of this ecosystem is certainly not easy. And it can be very expensive to find the right platform to move to and to really identify, okay, what do we need to change? The impact would also be for the systems administrators and systems engineers already working with VMware technology, because if the company moves off, it's like, yes, you have to adapt. If you are a one-trick pony that is specialized on VMware, you have to potentially start from scratch with a new technology. A lot of knowledge will carry over, but yeah, it's a big change that you might have not had on your radar, and it's something you need to be aware of. If you want to get into information technology and specifically become a systems administrator, systems engineer, or systems architect working with VMware technologies, you have to ask yourself the question, is this the right move at this time? So I personally would say, I don't know. I'm not too sure that VMware will go away. It also depends on where you are located, and are you working for smaller companies? Are you working for larger companies? Larger companies that have a much bigger investment in VMware, they will probably stick around and they have some negotiation power, but we'll have to see how that plays out. But there are opportunities to work for those companies and learn VMware, learn virtualization and the virtual cloud and everything that comes with it. I mean, virtualization at this point is like, there's so much more compared to many years ago. But if you want to get into this technology, it's like, think about it. How are your career options? How are your job options impacted if there are less companies using VMware? And sometimes with the smaller or mid-sized companies, it's easier to get really your hands-on experience on much more of the technology stack compared to larger companies where you maybe just get a small slice of the pie. So no matter if you are an existing subject matter expert with VMware technologies or if you want to get into the VMware technology ecosystem, you have to be proactive. don't wait and see what happens. At this time, there's an opportunity, but also you need to be on your toes, because if this changes around you, well, you could lose a lot of, I want to say, career opportunity, job safety that is potentially impacting your life. And so you have to be very proactive. The proactivity really is also important, because maybe you guys have not been hit with a renewal yet. So you don't necessarily know what's coming, but you can hear from other people that the renewal cost is really expensive. So be proactive. Expect a really higher price on your new subscription. I mean, depending on what you have, you probably are being moved to a subscription model. So what is the impact and how does it compare? So let's say the renewal offer comes in, and well, you want to brief your manager in advance so that the manager knows that if we have to talk about changes in our budget, this will be impacting us and we probably have not planned for it. So be proactive, communicate, but also look at, okay, what are the options that you potentially have? I mean, how large is your investment in VMware? Maybe it is time to look at other platforms, and that is a great opportunity. If you have 6 months time, you might not be able to move everything out, but potentially you could build the foundation in a different platform and then move there. And if you come to your manager with all the information and also really an action plan, it puts you into a great spotlight and can really help with your career, that you move up internally. And that's an important part. Most people are too reactive, and here's an opportunity really to be proactive and, well, for one, educate yourself with other technologies. And maybe if you are too focused on VMware, well, start learning other technologies in that regards, in that field, in that area, to really make yourself more competitive so that you don't have to be afraid of the changes that are coming. So I mentioned the word opportunity a few times, and there is another piece related to opportunity. Let's say you are a subject matter expert and you can see that a lot of smaller and mid-sized companies will potentially move off VMware. If you have the opportunity to develop, I want to say, a framework of how to move off VMware onto a Microsoft or Amazon platform or whatever the case may be, and you become really the subject matter expert in that, you can make yourself a very important part, an important player in this field, in this industry. You could start your own consulting business from that perspective and then help those companies and have an action plan ready where you really can lay out, okay, here is your total cost of ownership with the existing platform, and here is what total cost of ownership would look like when you move away or when you split the share load to reduce your VMware footprint and use a different technology to cover other pieces that you currently have just sitting on VMware because it's convenient, but maybe there's an option really to move away. And if you position yourself and maybe you want to start your own business, that you become that subject matter expert and you do a couple of those transitions, well, the name will spread, the word will spread, and you potentially can really have a niche market available there and build up on that. I mean, again, don't be a one-trick pony. So you have to have a bigger picture, really a vision ahead of you so that you know what you're getting into and what your long-term plan is. But there is definitely opportunity. So let's go back one more step. And I mentioned before, if you want to get into VMware because you learned basic system administration, you are very familiar with Windows and you want to specialize a little bit, and you had VMware on your mind, you started working for these certifications, and now this. I mean, it can be like a punch in the gut that Broadcom and VMware just did to you. And well, you have to ask yourself, do I want to continue and get VMware certified and become a VMware systems administrator, systems architect, and so on? It's like, all right, think about it. And I don't want to say it's like, no, stop right here and go somewhere else. It's better on the other side. So it's not like that the sky is falling here with VMware. There will be some shuffling, there will be some dusting to be done in the VMware ecosystem. Companies will leave VMware. Partners will have difficulties to change their business model, but that doesn't mean everything is lost. So you really have to be very analytical in that regards and identify, okay, what is the job market where you are like? Is there enough, I want to say, depth and width that you can go deep from a technology perspective, but also wide, that you can work for different companies and that you have options really to move with that knowledge or the total knowledge that you have into a different company, into a different career. So just think about that. If you are betting the ranch on VMware, I would probably say don't do it. But if you really become proactive and look at the bigger picture and make sure, okay, I'm doing a very informed move into VMware, and then have a plan, I don't want to say this is a bad thing, but be on your toes, keep an eye on what's happening, and that's really important part, and that's in regards to technology in general. My advice to you is really always work on bleeding or cutting edge technology as soon as possible, no matter what it is. You don't have to learn everything, but if you are proactive from that perspective and you know new technologies when they come out and you are starting to experiment with it, if you have the opportunity, continue doing that. So just learning an existing knowledge framework for VMware to sustain or to manage the status quo, that's not the right step. Why are you getting into VMware, and what is the next step after, once you become certified and have your first job? What really is your goal? So think about that and start mapping it out so that you know, okay, I'm doing the right thing, but I'm also prepared if this goes sideways or if it goes south. So let me know in the comments what you think about the situation with Broadcom and VMware, and is there an impact to your career? I really would like to hear from you. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please do so as well. And then I would say, I see you next time in my next video. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye.